Hey, what is up guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today I want to talk about Grid Legends. So recently I put a poll up on my channel, and I just wanted to see if many people had picked up Grid Legends, and only 6% said yes, 63% said no, and 31% of people didn't even know they released a new Grid game. So in that poll, I did say that I would do a video talking about, my opinions on the game and just what I think about it. And this is that video. So a few questions I want to sort of really answer is the game dead? Was it always doomed to fail? And sort of, do I personally enjoy it? Some of the pros and the cons of the game. And yeah, I've just been wanting to make this video for probably the last couple of weeks. I mean, I mostly make Gran Turismo 7 content, but for me that game's getting a bit stale and I don't really know where to go with my content. So I did think, I want to sort of do a bigger video, something that I like discussing about these types of games and sort of where they're at. And for me, Grid Legends seems like the perfect game to talk about because it's in a really, really weird place. And yeah, let's get into it. So when I put the poll up, I did sort of say, I pre-ordered Grid Legends. I really enjoyed it. No, I don't regret it. And a lot of people seem to jump on this game and like give it a lot of hate because it's really arcadey. Now, even from the original Grid that we got in 2008, Grid has always been arcadey but accessible to pretty much everyone. And for me, that is a big bonus. If we can get games like this that have the authentic look, but pretty much anyone can jump in and play, for me that is a great starting point to get people into more serious racing games and gather interest, because I feel like gaming in general is not in the same place as it was 20 years ago where we had countless racing games, and we need more games like this to get people involved. So one of the main points when it comes to why I like this game is just the sheer variety of cars. Like you can see on screen, I'm going to go through the current car list. So this is on release. I think there's like 2 DLC cars in there, and they were sort of like a pre-order bonus. But just the sheer variety of cars is insane in this game. I haven't seen a game with this much different variety since probably like Toka 3 back on the on the PlayStation 2. I mean, we have everything from 90s BTCC cars, Super GT cars, we have drift cars, tuner cars, open wheel, big race trucks, stadium trucks, even some really obscure, really cool electric cars. And a lot of these, some of these cars you just won't find in anything else. And they're just sat here to use, and it's awesome. Like the sheer, variety of cars is really, really good. And for me, that is a big, big bonus because it's sort of, if I didn't know much about racing games and this was like one of my first sort of jump ins to a racing game and I saw these different kind of cars there, I'd probably be absolutely mind blown. Like I'd be like, wow, there's so many different types of cars. Like I didn't even know this existed. This is kind of cool, and it gets people sort of interested in different types of motorsport. And for me, not only do I just love racing games, I love motorsport in general, and I want to sort of see it thrive. Like I've always been brought up around it for me, so I'm a massive petrol head. And it's games like this and accessible games like this that really sort of bring sort of new people in, and then once they see the sheer variety of different championships there is and different cars, all sorts of different things, it's going to make them interested, even if it's just in like a set championship or something, but it gets more people into sort of motorsport and racing in general. So that may have sounded like, sort of gone off topic, but earlier on I did mention about co-op career. Now, it's not exactly called co-op career, but the option is there, if that makes sense. So with this, it has jump in, jump out co-op. Online. So anyone can just jump in and take over an AI during your race. If you leave your career mode open and that, they can jump in them. So you can essentially end up doing your career races with like 15 other people, which to me is insane, and it's a really, really good option. But as you are going to see a bit later, the online is pretty much, I wouldn't say it's non-existent, there's just not a massive player base in this game. That being said though, the online races are chaotic and actually really, really good. It doesn't even matter how many players you have in because AI do a good job of, joining in, if that makes sense. So you could have like 4 people in a lobby, but a full 16 car grid or whatever, and it just feels really good and chaotic, and it's enjoyable. Like online racing in this game is enjoyable. It's not perfect. There's a few connection issues, but yeah, it is really good. Another thing, as you've seen on screen here, is car upgrades are a thing. To get these upgrades, you have to put miles on the car, which basically means, for some of the events, you have to have a fully upgraded one. So, yeah, you are pretty much forced to use every car in the game, which for me is a good thing because, I want to be able to experience every car. Where in a lot of games, you'll unlock a car and you'll never touch it. You'll never have a reason to go and use it, whereas this game, you do. So, as you can see here, this is a car that I haven't unlocked the upgrades to, and it will show you how many miles you've got to go. So another thing to note is the teammate system is back, but weirdly we do have like a set teammate, which is disappointing. If you remember the original grid, you could sort of like hire and fire, and it was great, but there is that. It just doesn't. It seems very toned down, even compared to Grid 2019, where you could hire different drivers. We also have, your usual upgrades of like different sponsors and bigger payouts. If you damage the car, you pay out for less repairs. It's sort of just side bits, like you won't really notice it. A lot of this goes on in the background. Yeah, it's not a major deal, but I mean it is there if upgrading stuff's your thing. If you want bigger payouts, it doesn't really make a difference. We also have sponsors, which is a bit like Dirt 5 sponsors. You have to do certain objectives, but this does unlock sort of special events, and you can unlock quite special cars, so some classic cars through doing these. Obviously, I'm going to show you these on screen. They're pretty cool. They just feel like an extra, race. They don't feel any different, but you do unlock some cool cars. Obviously, a lot of the advertising was done around this, the story mode, which for me was really weird because it's about 2-3 hours long and then you're done. You'll never have to touch it again. For me, the main meat of the game is the proper career mode, where you go through your different championships, experience each and every car in the game. But yeah, I feel like that's where they went wrong as well, was the advertising of the game. They really pushed this sort of, live action thing. As you can see, here's the multiplayer lobbies. The game's not very, active. But you can open up any of your lobbies, even your career mode, like I said. But yeah, that is another thing for me to know, is they really pushed this live action career in the trailers. I mean, I'll get onto that point in a minute, actually. So, when this game was advertised, they did a lot of advertising around this sort of live action career, and they did the same sort of style in F1 2021. Now, it seemed like it was going to be sort of like the original grid career mode, where you sort of, but with these characters sort of involved. It just turns out it's just a short 2 to 3 hour thing and then you're done. Now for me it's really weird for them to focus on it and waste a lot of, I guess, budget of the game on sort of hiring these kind of people to do the live action. And yeah, I don't know, it doesn't sort of sit right with me. For me, if you're going to do a story mode like that, do what they did in the sort of the original 3 Toka race drivers, which for me was really cool. And it was all sort of like CGI and that, and it worked really well because it progressed you through the career, where this just seems like sort of a really random addition, even though the career mode after, which is a main part, follows on from this. I feel like you could completely ignore the story and just start the career and you'd be none the wiser. So yeah, I mean, it was okay. There was a cool little bit at the end to do with like the Raven West team, which has been there since the start, but I feel like they could have gone without. So now I want to get on to the point of why I feel like this game was sort of doomed to fail from the start. I didn't actually know, I mean, I'm a big racing game fan, but I didn't actually know this game was going to be getting released until about 6 months after it was announced, which to me is just really weird. Like, I remember when Grid 2019 was getting sort of trailers and announcing that they put these really cool trailers together, and there was quite a lot of like pushed in the advertising for the game, and a lot of people like did buy it because of that. Now, I mean, that game was good. It just wasn't exactly what we expected, and I feel like it's the same here. Even though this game is definitely an improvement over Grid 2019, don't get me wrong. But yeah, there was just near enough next to no advertising, and then I feel like the second thing they did wrong, which really pretty much doomed it, was releasing 1 week before Gran Turismo 7. Now, I think everyone knew Gran Turismo 7 would. It's a system seller. It's a big first party, Sony exclusive. It's one of the big games on PlayStation, so you've got a massive lot of people that will probably just ignore this game because Gran Turismo came out the week later, and I feel like that was pretty much, set in stone that this game was going to fail. Yes, you've got Xbox, you've got PC, but losing out on pretty much a whole, console that you're selling the game on because you released it before the big racing exclusive came out just seemed like a really silly move. So to answer the question, do I think Grid Legend was doomed to fail from the start? Yes, I think they went the complete wrong way about it. Do I personally enjoy the game? Yes, I absolutely love it, and I think if you can get some people together, this is probably one of the most accessible, fun races you can, play at the minute. It looks good, it plays good, and I'm genuinely excited for more content to come from it. But with that being said, if you like this video, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I've got plenty more content to come. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Cheers, guys.